Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy November 7th, 2025 to you and yours, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. I hope you all are doing well. What a night last night. Unfreaking believable. Shout out to the Denard Span Foundation. The gala that we had last night at Armature Works was such an incredible time. And if you ever want to help out, denardspanfoundation.org to help single moms here in the Tampa Bay area, just a beautiful event to be at. And yeah, you know, if I wasn't at Raymond James Stadium for that ass kicking last night, you know, I had to be somewhere else, but I did make it home to watch almost the whole second half of the game because the first quarter took so damn long. And then, of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning with their victory in Vegas against the Golden Knights. We'll get into all that here momentarily. It is a Victory Friday. It is a Football Friday here on the program. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of everything on the program today. A big thank you to our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all your residential and commercial needs, 813-244-0956. And, of course, EverHealth, everhealth.org with our EverHealth injury report every single week with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Always want to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. And, man, big shout-out to Benny and a big shout-out to David Terry with the $10 Super Chat. That is how we're going to keep this thing rolling, man. Super Chats, our partners here on the program. DT, always been a big supporter, and we'll talk about your guys, the Liverpool big club coming up this weekend, big matchup with Man City. We'll talk about that as well. First period was ugly, but we made some adjustments, and way to go, Bulls. Hell of an ass whooping. Gio's in the house. USF. You got that right. And then we got Rolly Bam, double whammy last night. Bulls and Lightning killing it. Our guy Dolan as well. Happy Friday all day. And that was some ugly Thursday night football. Looked like preseason. And yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation for years with Ian. We're talking about Thursday night football where it's the worst possible thing for these players to cut these weeks down and to have these guys play in a contest 3 days sooner than they're usually ready for. This is the product you're going to get. But because of the greed, because of the money, it's just the same damn thing. Sometimes you'll see good games, but think about it. Over the years, if I had to ask you on one side or the other, the majority, good football or bad football on Thursday nights? I think the majority would say bad, right? Bad football, man. I remember watching a game a couple years ago, Titans and Jaguars, and I'm like, what are we doing right now? Two bad football teams at the time, two bad football. Oh, God. Two bad football teams and just a bad football game in general. It's just insane. Freaking sane. I wouldn't watch that if you paid me on Thursday night. Joseph Brennan. Our guy, Robert Cochran. Can I explain why goalies should stay at USF? It'll take me 90 seconds. Yeah, sure, Gio, fine. If you guys want to hop on and you want to join in via the video chat, there is the link right there in the chat. You can join via the phone or on your laptop. Just click on the link in the chat. You can hop aboard here on the program and discuss whatever the heck you want. Free reign here on this November 7th here on the Recher podcast. Later on today on the program, we're going to talk a little bit of everything. We're going to talk about that USF game. We're going to talk about the Lightning game at 12:30. We're going to give a full breakdown, an update on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wanted to start with Bucks, but I know Bulls is going to be speaking here in about 5-10 minutes, so I didn't want to talk about them and then wait and then give you an update. So we'll talk about the other stuff first, and then we'll get into the Bulls stuff. And then what's going on with Draymond Green? I don't know what's going on with this guy. 12:50, we'll talk about that. 1 o'clock, the NFL and college football games to keep an eye on this weekend. And then 1:20, everything else to watch this weekend. He's happy. He's there in OKC, rocking his Thunder jersey. Robert Cochran chimes in. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
What a great game last night. Maybe the NFL game being a stinker was great for getting eyes on the Bulls,
Yeah. Good point.
But I don't know who in their right mind would want to watch Denver on a Thursday night. But I digress. But just like I said yesterday, everything's still in front of us. Everything is still right there. On to Michael Kelly and Navy, and I think if we get another shot at Memphis,
yeah,
those boys will come out rocking. They're going to be angry. They're going to be very angry, and they're going to smack them in the mouth. And I think we make the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be incredible. Before I let you go, I got to say something. You said they were only going to win by 2 touchdowns, buddy. They won by 32. So I just got to tell you got to have more faith in your Bulls. Okay, buddy? Appreciate you, Robert. Have a good weekend, buddy.
All right, brother. Go Bulls.
See ya. Go Bulls is right. Robert, two touchdown. You thought they were going to win by 2. They won by 32. Unfreaking believable, that game last night. And Adam Cartwright, UTSA wasn't ready and never recovered. You're right. I mean, when you look at that game last night, and it's not even just look at the game last night. Look at the day overall. What a fantastic day over at USF, whether it was on campus, whether it was at Raymond James Stadium. That was a day to remember for South Florida. You're always going to remember that day if you're a USF fan. You're going to remember when SportsCenter was on campus outside of the Student Center. You're going to remember when Matt Berry was there and he was talking to Coach Alex Golish and, what happened that day. All eyes nationally on our USF Bulls. It was a beautiful thing. And the only reason why it works is if you go out there and you win that game last night. And CJ Hall, I usually don't feel straight up bad for an opponent, but I did last night. Those two teams weren't even in the same stratosphere. You got that right, buddy. You got that right. It wasn't even close. And for all the talk of, they're just an offensive team, look at what the defense was able to do yesterday with the pick 6 and then with the fumble recovery. And it was just such an awkward game that the Bulls offense didn't take the field until late in the first quarter. But that's what is kind of the secret sauce when it comes to USF. Everybody looks at Byron Brown and what he can do, the dual threat quarterback and leading this Bulls offense. But it's the defense that's really stepped it up. And I just tweeted this out a little while ago. I'd be very surprised. I'd be shocked if Jarvis Lee does not get drafted or does not play in the NFL on Sundays. And I'm not taking anything away from Matt Harris. I'm not taking anything away from Jalen Schuler. But the best player on this Bulls defense is Jarvis Lee. That is a special young man. That is a talented football player. He is a playmaker extraordinaire. Just something about that kid. He's around the football. When good things happen defensively, he is there. He is just a guy that when you watch him play, it's hard to think that he's not going to continue to get better. And it's hard to think that he's not going to play in the NFL. And, of course, we have to take care of business here. And, of course, he needs to continue to work. And shout out to our guy, Honest Hammer. Got that right, buddy. That game was pretty long. But when you have a leader like Jarvis Lee out there, and we've heard it, and we spoke about this in the last couple of weeks when it came to Alex Golish and part of the reason why I think he's so successful and part of the reason why is a guy like Jarvis Lee. He comes on campus. He's mad at the world. He's a quiet guy. And now look at him. That's what good coaching does. You put these guys in a position to succeed. He goes out there and, you're lighting the world on fire. And with as many opportunities that the Bulls have had on national television this year, man, they have made the most of them. And sometimes you see it and you're like, oh, I don't know if this. I mean, just think about all the games on ESPN2 and on ESPN, and think about the ass kicking of North Texas when they put up 63 there in Denton. Like, I'm watching this team, and they're getting presented with opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And for the most part, they're crushing it. They are freaking crushing it. And you're right, Joseph. He's a junior, man. So he sure as hell can come back next year. Gio, if you want to call, just click on the link in the chat right there, buddy. Whether you're on the phone, whether you're on the laptop. Felt like Golish could call anything he wanted. It would work. The defense is fast at all levels. You got that right. And I don't know if you guys saw the post game where Coach Golish was responding to UTSA head coach Traylor on the amount of money that USF spends on their football team and their athletic program. And it sounded like a lot of sour grapes, and Coach Golish took 3 minutes out of his post-game press conference to address it. And he said he had all the love and respect in the world for a guy like Coach Traylor and the program that he's built at UTSA, but don't you dare use finances as the only reason why this team is where they're at right now. Now, does it help? Yes. Is it a big part? Yes. There's a lot of teams out there spending a lot of money in college sports. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to be good. You need structure in place. You need a good coaching staff. You need players to buy in. You need players to be able to go out there and perform, right? When the lights are the brightest. We see it all the time. Like, we look at these programs that are, they're spending way more money than USF. And the guys crumble. And the guys, they shrivel up and they don't perform, in big time situations. You're not seeing that from USF. Yeah, it's a tough loss to Memphis, but listen, Memphis is a good team. We know that. We know that Miami, and I know Miami the last couple of weeks have been rough, but we know there's a lot of talent on that team, right? And after USF was flying high after beating Boise State in Florida, they came crashing down to earth a little bit. It's just the way it goes. But to sit here and to denigrate the things that are going on with USF and to kind of look out and use money as it sounded. I didn't really love the messaging from Coach Traylor this week. It was just, woe is me, poor me type attitude. It's like, nobody wants to hear that. You want a position of strength. You're a young recruit in college football. You want to go to a school. That's the guy you want to go play for? No, thanks. Saban said it best. You have to spend the money right or it's pointless. You got that right. What's not pointless is having our guy Gio on. Look at that. Nice. I like the kit, buddy. Kit looks good.
Hey, what's up, brother? Can you hear me?
I can, man. I like this. Is that a Columbus Crew kit you're wearing?
Okay, here's my comment about all these people who want to say that Golish is going to leave. Here's why he shouldn't leave. The Big Ten and the ACC is going to expand in a year or two. Higgins is working on the fact that he wants to get either in the Big Ten or in the ACC, and it's going to happen. So if Golish has a little bit of patience, he can wait. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. Snellenberger down for the Miami Hurricanes, when the Hurricanes started to become awesome, he realized that he could stay in Miami, recruit in Miami, and he built a national powerhouse. Golish could stay in Tampa, recruit in Tampa, and become a powerhouse. He could win national championships in Tampa if he decided to stay. Also, I want to give you another name, Luke Fickell. He was a fantastic coach that had the Cincinnati Bearcats undefeated, took them to a Final Four in the playoff. And then what happens? He takes the money, he gets greedy, and then he goes to Wisconsin where he's failed. Now, it looks like he's not going to get fired, but he's not going to make a bowl this year, and it's going to be a struggle for him to ever do anything on Wisconsin. Does Golish want to leave here? Does Golish want to go to, I don't know, Arkansas or Florida Gators or whatever? Maybe be successful, make a lot of money, struggle, and then get fired. Well, the thing is if you get fired in college, you get this huge buyout. Here's my point. If Golish stays, which I hope he does, he can be in a better conference, get a huge pay, and win national championships right here in Tampa. Now, if I had to bet on what he's going to do, my bet would be, okay, he's probably going to leave. And I understand it and I get it, but I'm just praying that he stays. And I'm also praying that Byron Brown stays one more year. And I'll tell you what, when we make the playoff this year, if we are making the playoff this year, it's going to be awesome. And by the way, I'm going to Navy next weekend. I'm so excited. It's my birthday weekend. I'm going to go up to Navy and take a wild guess. Who got me 2 tickets to the ball game? He knows USF. Michael Kelly, baby.
No way.
Michael Kelly got me 2 tickets to the game. He said, Gio, you're going to be sitting in the Navy section. So don't wear any USF gear. And I said, Michael, that's fine with me. I will sit in the section and quietly cheer, but I will not disrespect your home team. One last thing before I let you go, Jay. USF men's basketball. Oh, my goodness. This Isaiah Nelson is going to win Player of the Year in the American Conference. Joseph Pinion can shoot the lights out. Ennis can shoot the lights out. We're going to make March Madness, not only in the women's USF team, but the men are going to make the USF men are going to make March Madness and go dancing this year, brother. And thanks for taking my call, Doug.
You're the best, Gio. Thank you so much. Gio's been a supporter for such a long time, crushing it. Gio, I'm spot on with you, buddy. I mean, it'll be tough to, when you look at Coach Alex Golesh, not take if the Gators job comes open, right? Because it's such a historic job. And of course, I don't want him to leave, right? I want him to stay here. And I think about the family aspect to it, right? Married, kids, son plays travel baseball, Tampa area, right? He's out there. He's around the same fields that I am usually when he's not out there on the football field. So would I fault him for taking the Gators job? No. These other jobs? Yes. The Arkansas job, it looks like the head coach of Silverfield from Memphis is going to take that job. Fine. But if you're him and you're going, I'm with you, going to Virginia Tech. All right. Yeah, okay. I mean, LSU's a big job. I just don't see that being a fit necessarily. The Gators job is the one job I look at and I go, hey, man, right now where these two programs are at, I can understand it. But I'm with Gio, man. I'm with Gio here. Listen, you have an opportunity, and it's kind of similar to Kurt Cignetti in Indiana, right? Cignetti could go to a place like Penn State, right? But what's the difference? You're always going to be in Paterno's shadow. You're going to be compared to James Franklin. Stay in Indiana. They'll build a freaking statue for you. Think about it. If you're Alex Golesh, you stay here. You win all these games. You win a conference championship. You go to a college football playoff. My God, think about that. You have the world at your fingertips right now. And listen, you want support, right? Think about that. For sports at any level. I had this conversation with a high school coach last night. We talk about it in college. And of course, we talk about it with the pros. Teams going out there and spending money. Shit, man, we follow the freaking Rays. We know how that goes. You want support. You want people that are going to have your back. You need people that are going to put their money where their mouth is. Is there any team in sports that is doing it better than USF right now? No. And I remember because of the introductory press conference from Brian Hodgson on campus, Will Weatherford said how important athletics was to USF. And how they're going to fund it and how they're going to be behind it. Bro, it wasn't coach speak. That was real talk. And then just look at the difference the last couple of years. Look at the difference with the bringing in a guy like Mitch Hannes for the baseball team. And now, what Jose Fernandez has been able to do, the always supporting him going to Europe and getting players. I feel so confident for Michelle Woods-Baxter. Look at the support for Amir Abdur-Rahim after that first year of success. And now with Coach Brian Hodgson, with Coach Alex Golesh and the NIL and the transfer portal. Listen, times are changing when it comes to sports, but USF has been at the forefront since the beginning. I remember having this conversation with Michael Kelly when people were scared to talk about NIL. USF made a video package. They were right out in front. We're doing this. And now they didn't hire a VP of athletics. They didn't hire an athletic director. They hired a CEO. Then they hired a COO. This is a different ball game altogether. And for me, I want to be associated with people that are on the cutting edge. I want to be associated with the people that are on the forefront that know and kind of forecast what's going forward. What is it going to be like in 5, 10, 15 years? I don't want people living in the past. I don't want people that are nostalgia acts and let's bring this guy back and this guy back because of how good they were 15 years ago. I don't want that. Show me progress. Show me what the future is going to look like. Get ahead of the curve. And that's what we're seeing from USF. The relationships from Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks, they're already paying off. Both those guys haven't even been in the job for 6 months, and look at the impact already. Can you imagine what 3 and 5 years down the road is going to look like when there's a stadium on campus? Holy smokes. And you're telling me in 3 to 5 years down the road, there's not going to be some semblance of conference championships across multitude of sports, across track and field again, co-ed cheer, tennis, golf, volleyball, baseball, softball, basketball, football. It's not slowing down. This is just starting. Get on the train for USF. I was saying that before Rob Higgins is there. And now you look at it and you shit in. Watch out. Watch out. Hammer, Golish isn't going anywhere. I hope you're right. Golish isn't leaving. I've been saying it since the start of the year. I'm with you. Greg DeCruz, having double nickel on board changes the narrative. At USF, they absolutely can compete with the big boys sooner rather than later. Hammer says, I asked him his face when I met him and his family. His answer was, my family loves it too much here to leave. I'm with you, buddy. So many P4 openings along with extension and potential candidates is what concerns me, even though I agree he can accomplish all his goals here. Good stuff from Gio. Richie wants to let you know. Penny said, I have laughed and cried many times with Gio at countless Rays games. That's funny. Sorry to laugh. I don't think Gators are going to take the G5 coach route again. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Jay, the only team in is OKC and Sam Presti. Yeah, I mean, you think about it too. When you look at this entire situation with the Bulls, it's a great time to be involved. It's a great time to kind of look ahead and see, where this entire thing is going. I got supreme confidence in Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks and just everybody involved. And I'm just like, man, God, I hope they make it. Can you imagine if USF makes the college football playoff? Wild. Lastly, before we get to the Lightning, now it starts. We're 9 days away, 8 days away now. USF and Navy. USF and Navy. I love what Coach Golish said in the postgame yesterday. This is a team that's going to test your commitment. This is a team that's going to test your discipline. You know what's going to happen in this game. They're not going to beat themselves. You got to play with that violent aggression. You got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to win the battle in the trenches. It's going to be a dogfight between Navy and USF. And if they are truly going to be contenders in this conference, this is a game that you have to win. No moral victories, no silver linings, Coach Golish. All right. Starts today. Biggest game of the season, next Saturday. Noon, Annapolis. I'll be locked in. I hope you will be too. Lightning, 2 out of 3. I mean, what a performance last night against Las Vegas after giving up 2 goals in the first. And listen, the first goal, when you look at the goal given up and Radish doesn't pick up his guy, it's a tough play. Radish hasn't been in there. You're late to react. But just the response. And one thing that we've been talking about with the Tampa Bay Lightning is who needs to step up. And the 2 guys that we've been speaking about all week, whether it's with Eric Erlandson or with Ed Encina, it was Oliver Bjorkstrand and Gage Gonsalves. And those 2 guys needed to step up. And I thought they were 2 of the best players on the ice last night. Bjorkstrand was shooting the puck on the power play. And I've been asking, give me something different. Give me something different on the power play. And you saw it towards the tail end last night where you had Radish out there instead of Hedman. And Kucherov was just a man on a mission. He was making plays quickly. You put Bjorkstrand back to the left side. Fire, fire, fire. Keep firing pucks on net. I like the adjustments. That's the biggest thing that I want to see with the Lightning this year. Adjust. This isn't the same team from a couple of years ago. You can't just think like, all right, it'll figure itself out. You can't. You got to adjust. And the way that they've been able to adjust is obviously personnel. Charlie Wardescu in there. Dominic James, who scored his first goal last night. 3-point night for Dominic James. What a performance from that young man. He's playing on the power play last night with Kucherov. How important. Where would this team be without Dominic James? Incredible. Love what I saw last night. I thought Vasilevsky was locked in. And Radish outside of that, I thought he was firing the puck on that. That's what you need. That's that type of internal competition that we've been clamoring for the Bolts, but they just haven't been able to do it because they've been so close to the salary cap that it was like, these are the guys that you got. Live with it, die with it. That's the way it goes. I like that there's options. I like that there's different players that you can throw out there. I like that we still haven't seen Jack Finley, and Curtis Douglas is still available, and right, we can go with we can sit certain guys. Crozier can sit after or being back for a day, and just looking at all these different things that the Lightning. You need to be able to mix it up, man. You can't be a one-trick pony. You can't be a fighter that just has the right hand. You got to be able to, have a jab, have a cross, have a wrestling game, have a jiu-jitsu game. Like, this is like MMA, baby. You can't just do the same shit over and over and over again. You got to mix it up. That's what I was scared that I didn't see going into the season, but I'm seeing it now. From Julien Brisebois, John Cooper, and this team. Kudos. Love that. Utah and Vegas winning in their barn. Big deal. Big freaking deal. Also a big deal. Our super chats. Our guy Chan. Hello, my fellow Recher fans. Luke Gedicke back. Maybe. Lightning beat VGK. Let's go. You got that right. And how about Rolly as well? Lady Evil. What do you think about Ray's developments? They extended B. Lau and Pete Fairbanks. Did I get that right? No. Lau gets his qualifying offer, but Fairbanks did not. So Pete Fairbanks is now a free agent. He's going to go somewhere else. $11 million for the race. I mean, that's a tough putt for a guy where he kind of lost his consistency. This is a guy that I think mentally helps your bullpen in a big way. I think if you get him maybe in a different scenario where he's being a little bit smarter with his pitch selection, because I think a lot of this, we talk so much about this guy's the best and this guy's I think Kyle Snyder and Chad Mantola need to step their game up. Because we look at these young pitchers and people will still say, well, I think Kyle Snyder does this and I think he does a great job. Yeah, that's fine. But Taj Bradley's no longer here. We couldn't get the most out of him. Do you think we really got the most out of Ryan Pepio and Shane Boz last year? We can't sit here and give pitching coaches all the credit when things go well. And then when things go bad, it's like, all right, well, it's on the players. Not, again, it's not taking anything away from what they've done in the past, but you got to be real when you talk about this type of stuff. And it's kind of strange how in the Tampa Bay area, and this is just the market that we're in, because I watch stuff from other markets too. Like when you look at New York, everybody yells all the time. Everybody's fire this guy, fire that guy, blah, 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 blah. It's the worst over and over again, yelling and louder and louder. And it's like, shut the f up. And then you go to Toronto and everything is like the biggest thing in the world, right? Boston and Philly, kind of the same thing where, Boston, they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Philly's the same thing. And then in Tampa, because we don't have the largest media contingency, I feel like sometimes we may be a little bit too easy and maybe a little bit too soft on our teams and kind of give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit too much. And listen, when I say that and I say the words we, I'm probably guilty of that too. So I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, because I know when you point the finger, there's three pointing back at you. But I try to make sure that I'm trying to be as realistic as humanly possible, even though I'm an optimistic person. But you got to call a spade sometimes. Chad Mottola and the job that he's done on the hitting side, like you're firing Brady North and you're reassigning him and you're bringing in Ozzie Timmons, and I know it's not just all in the hitting, but something's got to change there. I don't love the approaches. For the pitching, again, I just alluded to it. We're giving Kyle Snyder all this credit for all the work that he's done with these players, and it's not saying he's a bad pitching coach or that he can't improve, but from what we've seen in the last 2 years, I have not been thrilled with what I've seen when it comes to developing these young pitchers. Sorry, that's just the facts. And when it comes to the Rays, it's weird because people that staunchly defend them under any kind of pretense whatsoever, they want to bring these numbers and the FIP and this and the hard hitting. Bro, I don't care. Like you're losing. You're losing games. At the end of the day, you can take all those numbers and you can throw them out the window. The only thing that matters is wins and losses. That's it. We're not talking about how you get there. Not at this point. But what are you doing to help your team win? And you're not. Griffin Jack's time, our guy Jared says, yeah, I mean, I said this multiple times. Even certain people out there were saying, oh, that'll never happen, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's kind of funny. People that'll never have me on their podcast. Oh, that'll never happen. Okay, we'll see. We shall see. All right. Did Todd Bowles speak already? What is going on? Why is it? Yo, I swear to God, this has been. You ever have those weeks when everybody and their mother is texting you? That is that week. All right. So, update from Todd Bowles. You guys want an update from Todd Bowles? From Todd Bowles. Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles says that Luke Gedeke questionable for this game on Sunday against the New England Patriots. However, Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, Hassan Reddick, Marquise Watts, all out for the game. Marquise Watts could be out 2 to 3 weeks. No bueno there, my friends. God, that's rough, man. That is rough. And when you're looking at what they need for this game this weekend against a team like, a team like the Patriots, listen, for them to be able to go on the road and win those games, they're well coached. They're in a good spot. They're feeling themselves. They already went into Buffalo this year and beat the Bills, so they're not going to be intimidated. This is another challenge. This is the challenge for the Buccaneers. And I said this earlier this week, and I'll echo those sentiments again today. I really like that Todd Bowles has gotten to the point where he's been so transparent saying, we don't want to be that team. We don't want to be that team that is complaining about, oh, man, we're rusty because we're coming off a bye. Some people try to act like that's no big deal, and it's not a thing. It is a thing. We've seen it before with his teams. So the fact that he is so upfront about it, I enjoy that. It's funny because Todd Bowles has really turned a lot of people around on what they think of him as a head coach. There's still going to be his detractors out there, but I really haven't heard too much. I mean, you're 6-2. You're 6-2, and you're going into a game against a team that's 7-2. And listen, it's pretty much a 3-point game either way. I think the Bucs are 2.5-point favorites. So again, Bowles says it's a game time decision for Gedeke. The Bucs will have to decide Saturday afternoon whether to activate him off injured reserve and make a corresponding move. And that should tell you whether he's playing barring some Sunday morning setback. That is from Greg Allman from Fox Sports. So yeah, it's a good point. Because they've started the 21-day window, Saturday you have to make that call. Make that call. Is he coming back or not? And that would be a huge boon for this offense and this offensive line specifically. A big happy birthday to Tom Moore today, 87 years young. Unbelievable. 87 years young. Ain't that something? When I look at this Buccaneers team and the time off that they had, Baker Mayfield is going to benefit from this just as much as everybody. And Josh Gozard ended up saying yesterday that Baker's got the juice back, and you could just tell. And it's not slighting Baker, but listen, you get to that point of the season, and when you take as many hits and you've been out there, I think we're going to see a different Baker than we did 2 weeks ago. And we're going to need to see it because this is a game where, and I was watching this yesterday, and I don't know if you guys saw this. It was from First Things First on Fox Sports 1, where Danny Perkins and Nick Wright were having a conversation. And they're talking about this game this weekend. And they're going back and forth about, good teams and bad teams and, why like a team like the Buccaneers. Did I say Danny Perkins? I meant Danny Parkins. My bad. Danny Parkins. When you're looking at this game this weekend, and Danny he was kind of like slighting the Bucs and saying that he didn't necessarily believe in them and kind of comparing them to the Rams, saying that the Rams had a better coach and a better quarterback and a better defense. And, that's fine on paper, but you got to go out there and win the game. And listen, I didn't agree with what I think this is the thing, right? As I'm watching that video last night, and I disagree wholeheartedly with what he's saying. I think we need to really be careful when we're in this space to start throwing personal jabs at people just because we don't agree with what they say, right? Danny is a guy that has done radio in Chicago. He did the breakfast ball thing on Fox Sports 1 with Carton and with Mark Schlereth, and it didn't turn out. Whatever, but they still kept him on, and he's a good buddy of Nick Wright, so no surprise there. But this is a guy that's been around. He's got some informed opinions. It is what it is. I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying, but I'm not going to sit here and badmouth the guy as a human being because I don't think there's anything that I think we need to get away from doing shit like that when it comes to sports media. But I don't agree with him going to the fact of like the Buccaneers are going to be a team that's 6-2, 6-5, and then he said they're going to be 11-7. He meant 11-6. We get that. Those are the common, like, people get mad about that stuff. Things like that happen, right? The little slip of the tongue, things like when you speak for a living, those things are going to happen. Like I said, I called Kyle Trask Jeff Trask one time because I had Jeff Driscoll on my mind. And Zach was like, you called him Jeff Trask. I'm like, oh my God. But it happens, right? Things like that happen. Doesn't mean you don't know, right? You got to know the difference between a slip and just not knowing, right? Like when we had Monica McNutt on SportsCenter a couple months ago, and she didn't know the difference between Barry Sanders and Shedeur Sanders. That's different than saying somebody's name erroneously, right? I hope we can all discern the difference between those two things. But Danny's coming out and he's talking about this Buccaneers team like, oh, they're going to be 6-2, or they're 6-2, they're going to be 6-5, and they're going to finish 11-7, even 11-6. I get that. But I think that's discrediting what this Buccaneers team is all about. And Nick Wright was kind of saying the same thing. Is the Buccaneers are in a weird space, and I don't know if I don't think this has anything to do with the market. I think this is just one of those things where it just depends on the narrative of certain teams. People look at the division probably, and that holds a lot of weight to people. Oh, the Buccaneers are just the best team in the bad division. Okay, I understand that. I can understand that, especially looking at what the Saints are doing and the Falcons underperforming every year and the Panthers kind of on their way up. I get that. But Danny also said, like, the thing that makes me feel good is the division, the strength of the division when it comes to the Rams versus the Bucs. And I go, okay, that's fine. But the Buccaneers play the NFC West this year. And I don't know if you guys have watched the games this season, but the Buccaneers have beaten the San Francisco 49ers at home. And they've beaten the Seattle Seahawks on the road. So with all those injuries, remember who was not in those games, right? The Buccaneers went to the Pacific Northwest and they beat the Seattle Seahawks. And you look at how well they've played this year. That's a well-coached team. Sam Darnold, everybody's loving on him. He's played fantastic. Don't get me wrong. The Buccaneers won that game. So to talk about strength of division, like that is one of your talking points and one of your, arguments that the Buccaneers aren't as good as the Rams. I'm just not buying that. There's other teams out there when you look at San Francisco and people say, look at the job that they've done despite all the injuries. You guys know, you watch this stuff. Who's dealt with more injuries than the Buccaneers? You're talking about a team that in week 1 started their second-year center at left tackle. They did that for 3 freaking weeks before their all-pro left tackle came back. Who the hell else is doing that? John Gruden brought that up in his discussion with the guys over at Pewter Report. Like, that kind of thing doesn't happen. You don't see that very often. They did it, and they still won games. Think about the revolving door at right guard. Think about the wide receiving crew that we all thought was going to be this high-flying, high-powered group. Look at the depth at the wide receiver position. You cut guys like Trey Palmer. There were people saying, oh, you should trade this guy, you should trade that guy. Why do we need Sterling Shepard? We haven't seen a full lineup with Jalen McMillan, Emeka Egbuka, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans all on the same field at the same time. We haven't seen that. We probably won't see it this year. So that, in essence, is a huge reason why people would think that the Buccaneers would be slipping. But no, they're 6-2. Oh, wait, let's not forget, their starting right guard, Cody Mauch, is out for the year. So add that into Gedeke being out. Add that into Tristan Wirfs being out for a while. And those other guys being jumbled. And you're 6-2? And people still aren't giving the Bucs credit? Let's go on the defensive side of the ball. You've already had injuries to Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum. Those guys have been kind of in and out. Benjamin Morrison, their second-round pick. This is another guy that hasn't played every game this year. And then, oh, yeah, you lose Kalijah Kancey for the year as well. So you're not talking about minor injuries. We're not bringing up, and no disrespect to David Walker, even though it was a draft pick that I think the Buccaneers thought as a rotational guy could help them this year. Oh, wait, speaking of pass rushers, Hassan Reddick has been hurt the last couple of weeks too. You're talking about big names. You are talking about guys that would, if those guys were out for other teams, it would cripple them. Cripple them. I didn't even mention Bucky Irving. So you're talking about a number 1 left tackle, number 2 left tackle at the worst in football. One of the best right tackles and up-and-coming right tackles in football. A top 10 running back, I think we can all agree with Bucky Irving, right? A future Hall of Fame wide receiver in Mike Evans. A guy that was top 5 in all the big categories of wide receiver last year before he got hurt, in Chris Godwin. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Kalijah Kancey, a former first-round pick. A second-round pick in Benjamin Morrison. Free agent in Hassan Reddick. That is a 10-sack machine. So why aren't the Buccaneers getting more credit now? Why isn't Todd Bowles getting more credit now? Maybe it's out of sight, out of mind because of what happened during the, it was a bye week and fine. And maybe people don't like Baker and people don't like Todd Bowles. Whatever. That's your own personal prerogative. But to act like what the Buccaneers aren't doing, or to act like what the Buccaneers are doing isn't impressive, I think is very short-sighted. And for all the strength of division things, they've played 2 games in the division. 2. They haven't played the Panthers yet. They'll play the Saints and the Falcons one more time each. It's very strange. But you ask me about that type of thing. In the NFL, it doesn't matter. College, I think it matters way more. See, that's the thing that people forget. Like you think about the dichotomy and the juxtaposition of college and the pros, right? When you're talking about the NFL and you're talking about the Buccaneers, I hope that it continues. I want there to be a constant disrespect for the Buccaneers. Given that bulletin board material, keep having Baker Mayfield feel that it's us against the world. I think they operate better that way. That's fine. They can be the little engine that could. They could be the best of the worst division. I think they thrive in that spot. I think they revel in that position. You want to love the AFC all you want, all the quarterbacks. That's great. That's great. You want to love the Rams and the 49ers and the Eagles and the Lions. That's great. Buccaneers will fly under the radar and do what they do. I think they like that better. Now, it is different in college. And people, when you say it's not different, I couldn't disagree more. Because a lot of it is style points. A lot of it is brand notoriety. A lot of it is attention to your program. And you need to toot your own horn. You have to. If you're not going to do it, who the hell else is? And that's why it's important to be on ESPN. It's important to be on ESPN2. It's important to be on SportsCenter. And for Coach Alex Golesh to be, front and center, and Byron Brown to be out there, and Jarvis Lee and Matt Karras and Jalen Chulin, all these guys, having Rob Higgins and having Derek Brooks. I mean, look at what you saw yesterday. And it sucked because I wasn't able to be out there, and I wanted to be out there so bad. But, Denard Span Foundation, I loved it. There was a shot on social media yesterday, and I hope you all seen it. And it was all of the television cameras lined up on the sideline for the USF game. You don't see that, man. You see that at Bucks games. You don't see that for USF games. There's been a lot of Bulls games. I've been out there, and there's been a handful of media members, no TV crews. And again, this isn't a shot at our TV friends. They only go where they're told to go. So don't ever get mad at the TV side. And that's the other thing too. When your people get mad at like the Tampa Bay Times for what they don't cover, it's like, bro, they only do what they're supposed to do, and they're told to do. That's why I like what I do, is because nobody tells me where to go. And even when I was at WDAE, like there was a certain freedom that I had to be able to go to these games, to be able to go to USF, to be able to go to the Lightning, Rowdy, Sun, all that different stuff, man. Like, it's not like that everywhere. We're in a good spot right now for our two teams that play at Raymond James Stadium. The incredible victory yesterday for USF, and now as the changes are ongoing to the field right now to get the field ready for the Buccaneers game on Sunday against the New England Patriots. I think they'll take the under-the-radar type thing. Oh, no respect for us? Fine. Even if they win the game this week, they're 7-2. They beat a Patriots team with a second-year quarterback, blah, blah, blah. New England put up a good fight. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. The Buccaneers could win this game, 27-24, right? 35-31. They'll win this game 3-4. They'll go behind, and then Patriots will come back, or they'll be behind, and then that's what'll happen. New England will jump out to like a 10-0 lead. The Buccaneers will battle back. It'll be nip-tuck the entire way. They'll win on a Chase McLaughlin field goal or something like that, and all the story will be, well, New England kind of faltered. They took their foot off the gas, or it'll be what they didn't do in comparison to what the Buccaneers did do. We can already see that happening on Monday. Victory Monday. The narrative will be a bit more about New England and Boston, the mean streets of Boston, than what's going on here with Tampa Bay. Because you know what's coming. The next 2 weeks after this game, it's going to be rough. Traveling to Buffalo, then going cross-country to take on the Rams. Again, talking about this on Fox Sports 1 yesterday, if Danny Parkins saying like, oh, they're going to go 0-3. Nah, okay. That's your opinion. It doesn't look easy. But I don't think a lot of people thought that the Bucs were going to go into Seattle and win that game, right? I don't think a lot of people these last couple of years have really believed in the Buccaneers in the regular season. For all the talk about, oh, they just beat up on a bad division. Revisionist history. Short-term memory loss. Don't you remember what happened last year? Did this team not go and beat Philadelphia, the Super Bowl champions? Did they not go into Detroit and beat the Lions? Right? Like, it's just so strange how people forget these type of things. It's not that hard. Look it up. And this year, they just keep winning. So if you're going to fault the team for just winning, it's a tough putt for me. So the Buccaneers, Sunday, big matchup with the New England Patriots. We'll all be locked into that one. I will not be there this weekend because, of course, I'll be at the tournaments. A lot of stuff going on this weekend for me. 4 tournament games tomorrow before I head to Sticks and Stools in the Tampa Bay Lightning outside of Benchmark International Arena. then the game after that, and then, of course, Sunday back out on the baseball field. And hopefully I'll be back in time as well. Rolly, Nick Wright is our only friend at FS1. You should try to get him on the show. He's a very busy guy. Maybe one of these days. All right. So I wanted to touch on this before we got into the other NFL action, the other college football action. What else is on TV? Because I think it's very important to be able to address these type of things when they come out. And Draymond Green, and it's funny because like Draymond's my brother's like favorite player. He's a big Michigan State fan. He loves Draymond. And when I talk smack about Draymond to him, it's just kind of to rile him up. It's not because I don't like him, because I think he's like the ultimate glue guy. He is the, probably one of the best glue guys in the history of sports. If he was on a different team in a different situation, would we know Draymond Green to the extent that we know him now? Who knows? If I was a betting man, I'd say no. He was in a situation where he played with arguably the best shooting backcourt of all time, future Hall of Fame coach in Steve Kerr. Just a new way to play the game, but he played his role and he played it magnificently. So I don't like to really take anything away from that aspect of it. But when he started his podcasts and when he started being able to control his narrative for the media, I knew moments like we saw the other day were going to happen. Because the one thing that I was worried about is that these professional athletes, when they have their own podcasts, when they're still playing, are they going to continue to be able to talk to the media and be able to give them, just tidbits so that they can do their job, stories so that they continue their livelihood? But what I heard him say the other day was, and I'm glad that somebody brought this up, it was saying that he was a new media. He's always talking about new media. I think Nick Wright brought this up too. Man, Fox Sports 1, and first things first, giving us a lot of stuff here the last couple of days. Draymond would always talk about new media. This is the new age. All right. Give us a perspective, right? Because you're a current professional athlete and you don't want to speculate and you want to talk about things that you don't have knowledge and experience about. And now he comes out where now Draymond's talking about football. So now he's kind of just like the rest of us, talking about something that he doesn't know. He's been in just as many NFL locker. I've probably been in an NFL locker room more than he has. And he comes out and he calls Dak Prescott a bum. I am not in favor of name calling professional athletes. I think it's lowbrow. A lot of times I think a lot of people don't have the balls to say that to the person's face. So it's easy to call a person a bitch or a bum or all these different things. And it's just like, on what merit? Somebody's a bum because they're not as good as you think they are. So that makes it okay for you to call them a name. Dak Prescott gets paid a lot of money to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm actually a guy that I think Dak is better than a lot of people think he is. I do not like the Dallas Cowboys. I will never root for the Dallas Cowboys or Dak Prescott, but I think he catches a lot of heat unnecessarily, but that comes with the territory. That's what you are. That is what you are. Yankee shortstop, Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Manchester United goalkeeper. That's what happens, man. That's just the way it goes. But for Draymond Green to come out and call this guy a bum, that's one thing. Now he comes out a day later and he apologizes for calling him a bum. You apologize for calling him a bum? Why? Stand behind it. I don't agree with it, but why are you apologizing? Because after he apologizes for calling him a bum, he says, I still think I'm not backing down on my claims that he shies away from big moments and that the spotlight's too big for him and he doesn't come through in the clutch. So are you really apologizing? What are you apologizing for? Because there was a backlash? That's why I think apologies are such bullshit. God, you're not sorry. You called the guy a bum. You stand by it. Called him a bum, so what? Get over it. What are you sorry for? You're not sorry. With all due respect. Come on, man. I don't get that. So now, Draymond, you're just like the rest of the media people that you pretended that you were going to be the opposite of when you got into this space. Talking all this junk about like new media, and I'm going to give you all this perspective. And now you're doing what you thought was old media when you got into podcasting, name calling, talking out your ass, name calling. Like that's come on, man. Respect Draymond. Hall of Famer, maybe. You win that many rings, you get in there probably somehow, some way. It's just one of the more entertaining figures, right? I mean, this is just a guy that, like, what a unique career. Great rebounder of the basketball, great passer of the basketball, a winner, champion. But just remember, Draymond, like when you get into this space, as much as your credentials are incredible when it comes to the National Basketball Association, this isn't the NBA. This is the media world. And you may have trained your entire life to be a basketball player, but you have not trained your entire life to be in the media. You're still a young pup. You're still a probie. You're still a greenhorn. And when you come out and you call another professional athlete making over $60 million a bum, and you act surprised, oh, I'm surprised that this got attention. Why? You have millions of followers around the world. You call this guy a bum. You don't think that's national news? Either you're ignorant or naive. Like, I don't quite understand why you're so surprised. You have platforms like this to grow your brand. And so that your voice is spread farther and farther. You try to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You want people to hear what you have to say. I hope you hear what I say right now. To be surprised that people heard it, that people would question you on it, and then for you to apologize. Come on, Draymond. Come on. This is why I love wrestling. You're a heel, man. Don't be a half-ass heel. Don't be mad because the fans booed you at WrestleMania. If that's how you're going to be, if you're going to be that guy calling people bums, you better be that guy. You better be that guy. All right. Before we get into everything that's going on this weekend, I want to tell you about my friends, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, for all of your residential and commercial needs. 813-244-0956. Our guy Hammer. Again, go check them out. TheHonestHammer.com. TheHonestHammer@gmail.com. Shoot them an email. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Get you a discount. This is a big-time Tampa Bay sports fan just like you. USF grad. You know he is over the moon after watching that game last night. Big USF win over UTSA. I know Russ was jacked up Thursday night football. Getting up early to work today, buddy. It was a late one for all of us, but he loves all of our Tampa Bay sports teams here, and he's just a great dude. He's somebody I trust. This is the type of guy that you want to support. Again, support local. We talk about that all week long. Support local. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, going out there. Residential, commercial needs, kitchen, bathroom renovations. If you have a plot of land, you're looking to build a new house, this is the guy that can help you out. Give him a call. Tell him that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast, 813-244-0956. Russ and all my people at the Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Family, I love you guys so very much. Also, EverHealth, everhealth.org. You know, we have our EverHealth injury report every single week with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, one of the It's the best segment that we have every single week. I can't deny it. It's incredible. Doc is just such an intelligent guy. He knows a little bit of everything. And when you get, that's the kind of people you deal with at EverHealth. Smart people, great people. I went there for my knee and my ankle and my elbow last week. They're helping me out, get me back to 100%. So maybe one of these days I can go play softball and throw a baseball overhand again. But just check out the website, everhealth.org. There's 17 locations in Pinellas County. And the EverHealth Institute, I can't say enough great things about that. Very similar to my broadcasting school and the route that I took, that hands-on experience that I learned when I was at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting that helped me transition to WDAE and made the transition smooth. Same thing with the EverHealth Institute. You can learn all these different things in the medical field, and then you can either work there or at one of the other medical facilities here in the Tampa area or abroad. They are respected and loved, and I'm so glad that we've been able to join up with them. So shout out to EverHealth. Shout out to Honest Hammer Custom Builders. Those guys are the best. All right, let's take a look at the schedule. What else is going on this weekend? Some of the games that I'll keep an eye on when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to college football. The Bears hosting the Giants. The Giants are 0-5 away at home. Will I watch this game? Not a chance. Sorry, can't do it. I know my friends and family will, but it ain't happening here. I'm surprised the Bears are only 4.5-point favorites. I might jump all over that one, buddy. Colts and Falcons in Berlin. It's a 9:30 start. This is one of those games that Atlanta would win. This is one of those games where everybody's like, Atlanta's done. Zach Robinson needs to be out. Raheem Morris, what's the deal with this guy? They'll win this game, and they'll go to 4-5 in the season. For the Buccaneers' sake and the NFC South, I hope they don't. But this is it's almost too good to be true. To look at the records, it's 7-2 with the Colts and Daniel Jones, and after losing last week to Pittsburgh and thinking, oh, yeah, no problem. They'll win this game. I don't think so cut and dry. Don't think it's so cut and dry. Let's see here. All right, sorry, just some news from the Lightning. Bills and Dolphins. Oh, God, could this be the end of the road there? Ravens and Vikings from US Bank Stadium there in Minneapolis. Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, I've told you time and time and again, probably my favorite tag team when it comes to the coaching ranks in the NFL. And then the Ravens sitting there at 3-5 with Lamar Jackson now back. They need to go on a little bit of a run here. Now that Lamar is healthy, you're going into a place, and Brian Flores has been scheming all week long to try to stop him. Baltimore, this is a team, I can't count them out. I said this when they were 2-5. I said, watch, they're going to go on a run. They're going to win 5 in a row. They'll be 7-5. And we're talking about, is Baltimore going to be a factor? It's a long NFL season. It is a long season. To think about, this team is done in October. Man. Now that there's more games in the season, you just don't know. How about a game that nobody's going to watch unless you love Cleveland and the Jets? The Browns are 2-6. The Jets are 1-7. No, thank you. Saints and Panthers in an NFC South matchup. I'll pass on that one. Jaguars and Texans. Man, even this matchup. The Texans 3-5 after losing last week to Denver. That game last night was just so terrible. I don't even like letting that game last night pass through my brain. That's how crappy that game was. Texans hosting the Jags. We'll see what happens in that one when you look at C.J. Stroud out for that game. Davis Mills is playing. I don't know what to make of Houston, man. I really don't, because we're getting farther and farther away from the good year from C.J. Stroud. And now DeMeco Ryans, it's like, all right, dude, you can't have that 1 year and let that be the aberration, because if they don't make the playoffs again this year, a lot of people were looking at them like, okay, do your thing in the AFC South. Do your thing right now where the Titans and the Jaguars and the Colts are where they're at. Shit, man, look at what the Colts and Jags have been able to do. They're combined 12-5, and the Texans are 3-5. Got to be better than that. NFC matchup out west, Seahawks hosting the Cardinals. That should be an easy one for them. My biggest game of the weekend, Rams and 49ers. This is the one that I really want to watch from Levi Stadium there. Is there a little bit of a quarterback controversy right now in San Fran with Mac Jones playing as well as he has with Brock Purdy being out? Probably. They seem very similar from the outside. I know people talk about Purdy being able to move around, use his legs a little bit more, keep the play going, keep his eyes downfield. I get that, but man, just from the outside looking in, they look very similar. And the Niners dealing with not having a guy like Fred Warner and all the injuries that they've had to withstand. And they're sitting there at 6-3, battling for the top of the division. The Rams with Matthew Stafford and just such an ever-improved defense. People were thinking they were going to take a huge step back when Aaron Donald retired, and then look at where they're at right now. They're a team that I don't think anybody wants to play, and you know how well coached they are with Sean McVay. I like them a lot. I really do like the Rams. It's going to be a battle. It is. For the last decade, we've seen the Rams and Niners really battling it out, so that should be a fun one at 425. A rematch with the and the NFC playoffs last year, the Commanders and the Lions. Last year was in Detroit. This one, Washington. The report that we saw from Jaden Daniels and his injury. Remember, we had this conversation on Wednesday with Dr. Rodriguez. If there was any big-time ligament damage, Jaden would probably be out for the year. Didn't sustain that. So it'll probably just be a couple of weeks. In the meantime, Marcus Mariota will take over. But the Lions is another one. If you want to stay in the hunt for the number one seed, you got to win this game on the road. And then Steelers and Chargers, that's the game Sunday night. Pittsburgh, after their win over the Colts, they travel across country to take on Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, and that Chargers. That's a good matchup, 6-3 and 5-3. And then the matchup Monday night's a good one too. Packers and Eagles live from Lambeau in Green Bay at 8:15. The Packers 5-2-1 after their lowly loss last week to the Carolina Panthers, and then the Eagles 6-2. Bengals, Cowboys, Titans, and Chiefs on a bye. Of course, our college football week started with USF and their big win, but some big matchups tonight. And listen, when you're looking at the games, watch tonight, Friday night, big matchup in the American. Tulane and Memphis. Memphis 3.5-point favorites. We know we're looking at the losses within the conference. Memphis having a loss already, but with them having that win over USF, we're going to be keeping a close eye on them all season long. And yeah, game tonight, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium there in Memphis. Again, the Tigers 3.5-point favorites, 9:00. That is on ESPN as well. A ranked matchup tonight, USC number 19 hosting Northwestern, and the space game for you space cadets out there, UCF hosting Houston. I think they've won all 8 of these games. Go Houston. In a game that we thought could have had national title implications, or at least college football playoff implications, Indiana and Penn State. Wow. And who would have thought, if I would have told you this 2 years ago, that there would be this game Saturday, November 8th, 2025, and the Indiana Hoosiers would be going to State College to take on Penn State at Beaver Stadium, and the Hoosiers would be 14.5-point favorites. I don't know if many people would believe that. But that is where we are. It's crazy. These ranked teams have to be smart. You don't want to slip up in a quote-unquote meaningless game, especially when you're favored by more than a touchdown. I look at Georgia traveling to Starkville to take on Mississippi State there. You got to be able to win this game. But I trust Kirby Smart being able to go on the road with Stockton and be able to win this one. This is a game that is, I don't know if many people saw that was going to be kind of a little bit of a heavyweight clash here with BYU and Texas Tech, number 7 and number 8 from Lubbock. And the line for this game with the Red Raiders being 10.5-point favorites, that could be a little bit of a rallying call for BYU. But this is going to knock one of those teams probably out of the college football playoff, and then you're going to see – this is what's going to happen. You're going to see these Big 10 teams, these Big 12 teams, these ACC teams in the American, the Group of 5. You're going to see matchups like this, And then the team that loses is going to be punted so far to the point where that they're still going to get respect because they'll definitely still be in the top 25, but they'll be nestled right in there behind some SEC teams, right? They'll be nestled in behind the Texas and Oklahomas and the Vanderbilts. They'll be right there. And it'll just be impossible to jump all those three. Just watch. The loser of that game is going to just go poof. It happens every single year. You have a matchup like this, even when it's two good teams. This could be a 49-48 game. And Tech or BYU, whoever wins, right? And the losing team will go behind those SEC teams. I'm telling you. We'll talk about this on Monday. Ohio State travels to Purdue. They're a 30.5-point favorite. No surprise there. Ole Miss hosts the Citadel. There's not even a line on this game. The other big-time matchup when it comes to the college football playoff is number 3 Texas A&M traveling to Missouri to take on the number 22 Tigers from Memorial Stadium in Columbia. 6.5-point favorites is A&M. And you look at Mike Elko's crew and what they've been able to do this year. And a lot of people talking about Ohio State and Indiana, and deservedly so, and all the different machinations of what SEC teams could jump in there. And of course, when Texas, wins their games and they have what they have in front of them with Georgia and A&M, I still don't know if people are giving A&M enough credit. This is one of those games. I don't like saying trap games, but this is the alert has to go on. It has to go up. And you take a lot of things into consideration too, because Eli Drinkwitz is a guy whose name has been bandied about a lot for some of these openings. Does that affect the coaching? Does it affect the players? I don't think so. But with that being said, if they win this game, that only makes him probably more appealing, right? So that's kind of the catch-22 of this entire situation. Texas A&M, these are the type of games you have to win. On the road, going to be a tough atmosphere. Again, you're still 6.5-point favorites. You want to be considered one of the elite teams. This is a big game on the schedule for them. For the Aggies, Oregon and Iowa, another top 20 matchup. It's so crazy to call this a Big Ten matchup. Still, Oregon, I think they still have that scarlet letter on them. People are still looking at them going, how the hell did that happen against Indiana? And I was a big believer in Oregon. I think you should too. I still like them. I still like Dante. I still like Dan Lanning. This is a good team, man. And they're going to be challenged. They're going to be challenged. Again, just like we said with Texas A&M, they're 6.5-point favorites as well on the road. But Iowa is that team, and they're scoring more points than we've seen in the past. For years, it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust for Hawkeyes. But for Oregon, this is going to be a test. You have to win the battle in the trenches. You failed miserably against Indiana. Iowa, that's the thing. When Indiana and Iowa and Wisconsin, and I know, just saw the news that Luke Fickell's going to stay on until 2026, but those three teams in particular in the Big Ten, I'm not saying the rest aren't like this, but I just look at those three, Indiana, Iowa, and Wisconsin. When you think about them, you think about teams that are built on the offensive and defensive lines, primarily the offensive line, good tight ends, good running backs, and to beat them, you have to win that battle in the trenches. So for Oregon, I know you have all the flash and dash and all the shine and dine, but this is the match that you're going to have to prove. All right, you win this game, then all right, college football playoff, well within your reach. You don't win this game, I think you're in big, big trouble. Miami hosts Syracuse, not much of a concern there. Number 16, Vanderbilt hosting Auburn. 14, Virginia hosting Wake Forest. Number 15, Louisville hosting California. And then these matchups right here. Number 10, Notre Dame hosting Navy. This isn't obviously a conference game for the midshipmen, but this is their big matchup before they take on USF next week. It's a Saturday night affair on NBC there from South Bend, and a big 27.5-point favorite are the Fighting Irish in this one. You have to wonder, what is Navy going to look like after this game? Playing this game against Notre Dame, do they get some confidence? Do they get some motivation? Do they get some optimism going forward because they go toe-to-toe with one of the better teams in the country? Or do they come out of this game people say unscathed. Is scathed a word then? Is scathed something we can use? Because I think that's a topic for concern. I think it's something to be wary of if you're Navy. Are you going to be able to come out of this game unscathed? No big-time injuries, because USF is kind of waiting in the wings right now for a huge matchup in the American next Saturday. And then lastly, it kills me that these two games don't mean more. Clemson hosting Florida State. I mean, going into the season, we thought Clemson and Florida State. Like, come on, man. This has got to be a better matchup, right? It's going to be a ranked matchup, right? Alabama and LSU from Bryant-Denny and Tuscaloosa. Well, the Tide are ranked. They're number 4, but LSU, obviously, Brian Kelly's out. They're looking for a new coach. I've been on the record. I think Norvell's out after this year, too. I don't like matchups like this. I think the football is going to be okay. But I like when there's stakes. I like when there's games on the line. I love that LSU-Alabama game from years ago when it was 9-6. Like, I love funky stuff that happens in sports. But I love when the big names are good. I do love upstarts. I do love underdogs. I do love, names that come out of nowhere like Indiana. But, man, LSU and Alabama, that should be a top 10 matchup every year with the amount of talent that goes to those schools. Same thing with Florida State and Clemson. Talking about the top of the ACC. And again, neither one of those teams are ranked. I don't know what Dabo Swinney and Mike Norvell are doing. And that's why I think if USF gets in the ACC, why not, buddy? Get up in there. People talk about Big 10, Big 12 when it comes to Coach Golish and the USF. Think about USF playing in the ACC. And playing the Florida States and playing the Miamis and playing the Clemsons, right? Even playing like teams like Georgia Tech, right? I know they picked up their first loss last week, but playing a guy like Haynes King and seeing what they've been able to do. And then on the other sports and playing Duke and North Carolina in basketball, like, to me, that makes the most sense. It's regional for the most part. You're staying on the East Coast because you think about entering into these conferences. And I wasn't expecting to have this conversation today, but we are. You have to think about the other. You don't have to, but I think about the other sports too. And I think about some of these other sports that when you think about Oregon taking on Iowa, yeah, it's easy for football teams. But what about softball? What about cross country? What about volleyball? Like, it's not as easy, man. They're traveling commercially. It's not great. It's not great, man. I'm telling you, I've been on those plane rides before, and it's a hassle. It's Division I sports. You would hope that these scholarship athletes would get more, but that's kind of the nature of the beast. That's why this whole thing needs to change. That's why there needs to be an adjustment when it comes to collegiate athletics, because it just doesn't make sense. My hope for USF is that they get into the ACC. That's, if people ask me, I think that would be huge, huge. I do ultimately think there's going to be 4 super conferences. It'll be like the Midwest, Northwest, the right side of the Midwest, and then East. Then like the Southwest, West, and then all the Southeast. The Southeast is going to be crazy because there's going to be these large pockets of here, and then the SEC is going to be, the Southeastern Conference is going to be that big because that's where all the schools are. It's crazy, man. I can't wait for it. But USF is positioning themselves right now that they're going to be in that conversation. They're not going to be left out. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. I didn't put this up earlier today, but I want to talk about it right now. Ask me anything. Boom, we'll put that up on the screen. We've been doing this every Friday. You guys can ask me anything. It's on the screen. We'll do that for the last part of the show. But before we do that, I want to tell you everything else, any of the other big games that are on this weekend. Of course, our Tampa Bay Lightning are on tomorrow night, live from Benchmark International Arena, 7 o'clock puck drop against Alexander Ovechkin and his 900 goals in the Washington Capitals. Bolts now 7-5-2. You really like where they have gone over the last couple of games. It's a beautiful thing there. So keep an eye on that matchup for our Bolts. Again, Benchmark International Arena there. NBA action. I'll give you the best games. You guys want the best games? I'll give you the best games. Friday, Boston and Orlando. Okay. See what the Magic are all about. I know Boston's terrible this year, 4-5, but that's what happens when you're without Jason Tatum. Some of the other big games, Rockets and Spurs tonight on Amazon Prime Video. Victor Wembanyama against Kevin Durant and the Rockets. That's going to be fun. And I mentioned this guy last week, and I'll say it again. Alperen Şengün, right now he's averaging 22.4 points a game, just a tick under 10 rebounds a game, and 7.3 assists per game. This guy is a walking triple-double waiting to happen. I feel like he's kind of the next center after Nikola Jokic. I love this guy. He's a problem. His footwork is impeccable. Watch out for that one. Bulls and Bucks tonight as well. 8 o'clock, 6-1 Chicago. A little bit of a surprise there. Warriors and Nuggets. Never a dull moment there when you see Steph Curry against the Joker. That's Friday. Saturday. Let me see the other big names for you guys. Pelicans, Spurs, Pacers, Nuggets. I don't really like any of these games. I don't want to give you bad games, guys. I don't want to give you bad names. Say Nets and Knicks, Rockets and Bucks, Thunder, Grizzlies, Pistons, Sixers. Yeah, Friday night is where the basketball action is. That's where I'm rocking with. Friday night. MMA action there. Another UFC fight night. Randy Brown fighting against Bonfim. This Bonfim guy is no joke. Gabriel Bonfim. They are fighting at the Apex. Matt Schnell and Joe Morales. Joe Morales from the Ultimate Fighter. That's the co-main event. I'm trying to look at some of these other guys. A lot of smaller names. Ricky Simon, Mayra Bueno Silva, former title contender. This is what's tough about UFC, man. You want to show some love to these guys, but man, it's so watered down with cards every single freaking week. And it's too much. All right, on the soccer side, let's take a look at some of the big games that we see. Schedule. Put some college soccer up there. I'm like, come on now. Let's see. Today, anything big? No. Saturday, Man U, Tottenham. First time since they faced off in the Europa League final. That should be a fun one at 7:30 a.m. I'll be up for that one, that's for sure. Sunderland and Arsenal. Nobody thought this was going to be a good game when the fixtures came out before the season, but Sunderland, in their first season since being promoted from the championship, they have been dynamic. They host the table-leading Arsenal Gunners at the Stadium of Light in Sunderland. That's going to be a good one. Watch out for that at 12:30 on the USA Network. Serie A, Juventus against Torino, Ligue 1. Nah, not really much there. And then Sunday. All right, this is the matchup on Sunday. From the Etihad at 11:30, David Terry, you know it, USA Network, Manchester City, Liverpool, two of the best teams in the last decade. It is a little weird because it's not Pep Guardiola against Jurgen Klopp. It's Pep Guardiola against Arne Slot. And listen, what Liverpool's been able to do, they've won some games here recently, including a big win over Real Madrid, but their lack of success in the Premier League has been a little alarming, being that they spent as much money and they did in the offseason to bring in Jeremy Frimpong on the right side, Milos Kerkez on the left side, bringing in a guy like, who else did they bring in? They brought in, Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, and they also brought in Alexander Isak after bringing in Hugo Ekitike too. So many different guys. Man City is not the same as they once were, but you still have Erling Haaland, the best number 9 maybe in the world, absolute goal-scoring machine. Ruben Diaz anchors that defense with John Stones, and you have Gianluigi Donnarumma in between the sticks. That should be a good one, 11:30 on USA. Sunday before the football kicks off. Anything else? Any of the big names? Get those questions in now, guys. If you want to ask me some questions, I'll stay on for 5 more minutes. Lyon versus Paris Saint-Germain at 2:45 from the Groupama in Lyon. That's probably the other big one there in France. All right. Ask me anything. You got it right now. Bum, bum, bum. On the spot, who you taking in the U Tampa versus USF baseball scrimmage? Shout out to our guy, Jared Guthrie. Make sure you subscribe. Help them out, 813preps.com. I'm going to go with USF in this one. In years past, I would say UT, but I feel like where USF is at right now, And listening to some of the things that I've heard over the last week, USF has got some guys that they're absolute gas. And for all the great things about UT, there's a lot of roster turnover, and it takes them a while. It takes them a while to kind of get back in the groove, and especially after losing. I just think about all the guys that they've lost. You lose Cole Russo at first base. You lose Nico Saladino at shortstop. You lose J.D. Urso at third base. You lose Jordan Williams in the outfield. Maddox King, I don't think, is going to play this weekend either. I mean, you look at all these different guys that they don't have back there. You get Irigoyen back behind the plate, but, man, it's going to be a tough putt. I'm going to go with USF on this one, but you guys know how much I love my guy Joe Urso and UT. Eddie, cleaning pools, they have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. LFG, Cats, Bolts, and my Heat tonight. Ask me anything, any questions, let me know. What do you got for me? It could be about sports. It could be about life, whatever you got. I'll give you guys about 3-4 minutes. And you know what? While we do that, why don't we put the daydreaming beat on? This beat is fire, man. Ask me anything. What do you got? What do you got? Any questions? What do you got? Cold or hot? Doesn't matter. God, I love that beat. It's a Friday, man. It's tough. Sometimes we get a bunch of questions. Sometimes we don't get any. Our guy, David Terry. Deuces, have a great weekend. Got to roll. David Terry says we need Allison back in goal. Yeah, I mean, Allison Becker, the man. Make sure you guys follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. All your residential and commercial needs. EverHealth as well. I think everybody's tapped out. They're ready for the weekend. I am too. All right, we're going to stop it here. A big thank you to our super chats: David Terry, Chan, Rolly. Love you guys. You're the best. All right, Big Bulls win. Good luck to the Lightning tomorrow night. Good luck to the Bucks this weekend. Let's hope that we have another Victory Monday on the show in a couple of days. I love you all. We'll see you on Monday at noon right here on the J. Recher Podcast. I'm gone. Peace out.